Get started. The regular meeting of the Architectural and Design Commission, please come to order. Commissioner McDonald, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, moving on to the next item. Roll call, please.
Sheldon Carter.
Present.
April Bartlett. Absent. Adam Chant.
Present.
Sylvia Donovan.
Present.
Shannon McDonald.
Present.
And Dan Tufts.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Next order of business is public business from the floor. If an individual is unable to stay through the entire meeting due to extenuating circumstances, a total of 10 minutes is provided at this time, during which input may be given regarding agenda items. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Any person who would like to address the Architectural and Design Commission on any agendized item is requested to complete a speaker card for the recording secretary and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss. Each person will be given an opportunity to address the Architectural and Design Commission at the time such item is discussed by the Architectural and Design Commission. Speaker cards available at the entrance of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Okay, do we have any speakers?
There are none.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. First item is the approval of minutes for the special meeting of August 2nd, 2018. May we have a motion, please?
I motion that we approve the minutes from the August 2nd, 2018 regular meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passes 4-0 with 1 abstention.
Thank you. Next item is a continued business. It's the Director's Review 18-39. Can we hear the staff report? Ms. Magana.
Good evening, Chairman Carter and members of the Commission. The item before you is Director's Review 1839. This is a continuance item from the August 2nd meeting. On August 2nd, the Architectural and Design Commission reviewed the elevations and materials board for the proposed production homes for Tract 54025, located on Lancaster Boulevard and 20th Street East. At the meeting, the ADC provided feedback and since then provided written comments via email. The applicant has worked diligently to address all of these comments, and at this time I'd like to turn it over to the KB team so that they can go ahead and present the changes that they've made to their plans.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chair.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ron Mertzel, Vice President for Planning with KB Home, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak again from last month. So one thing I wanted to mention from our last hearing, we appreciate it because the Commissioners did provide feedback, which we did incorporate into our designs, which you'll see this afternoon. We are obviously seeking foreign approval today, so we appreciate your review of that. A couple items I did want to reiterate, which we talked about at the last hearing. This is a pre-developed site. It's already graded. Most of the infrastructure is already constructed in the site. Also, from a KB perspective, KB's philosophy is really to maximize buyer choice. We cater to the first-time home buyer, so affordability is important to us as a builder. We don't pre-plot communities because in the attempt to maximize buyer choice. Obviously, in the Antelope Valley, there's a large buyer pool. These are mostly people that are seeking, first-time home buyer coming from the Santa Clarita Valley, price data, maybe the San Fernando Valley, and that's really what we see as the largest segment of the market, which we're obviously, targeting as far as our purchase. While we did implement the commissioners' comments into our design, I do want to kind of reiterate a couple of items that we think are important. As we implemented the changes, we figured that the cost is about maybe $5,000 per house in implementation cost of exterior veneers and decorative shelving and whatnot. So really what happens is we're concerned, and we were concerned at the time, while we're pleased with what we have, we're concerned that we're trying to appeal to the buyers, maximize buyer pool. By implementing additional costs, really what it's doing is, our concern is that we're just pricing out the first-time home buyer, and that's what we're seeking to obviously capture. We've found that KB Home does extensive buyer surveys, and from those surveys, what it's told us is that most home buyers are interested in customizing the interiors of their homes. And so one of the things, while we did implement all the comments that we received, the concern is that we're almost forcing an option on them because now we're increasing the cost of the home when we add exterior elements. So, we're happy with the product. We think you'll be happy with it too. But it's just something that we think is important, not necessarily for this project, future projects, everything in the Antelope Valley and Lancaster. We think it's important because as we're out there trying to purchase additional properties, when we start increasing the prices of the homes, obviously we're moving out of a market and it's becoming more difficult to obviously secure those purchases. And I think that's it. So those are the major items that I just really wanted to kind of indicate to the commission and consider when you're looking at them. And like I said, more so there's this project, but we have other projects we're also working on. And with that, I will turn it over to Rob Gomez, project manager, who can kind of walk you through the individual changes that we made on the architectural plans. Thanks.
Thanks, Ron, Brenda, commissioners. So I'm here to present our presentation, which is before you. And in the spirit of capturing the feedback that we got from the last meeting, we are going to be focusing this presentation on those changes and showing where we made those improvements and enhancements. So with that, just going to do just a quick rounding of the site again. So we do have 5 plans, and we have 4 elevations that we are seeking to get approval for. The matrix up here shows where we have each of the plans and elevations available. And the site is located at Lancaster and 20th Street East. Starting with the Plan 1, Elevation A, which is Spanish, just to orient ourselves on what we're seeing here. At the top, we have an image of the final updated elevations. To the lower left, we show the itemized list of what the additional features are. In the blue, that is representing comments that are coming directly from commissioner feedback, and the black are just other elements that we added for our own reasoning and aesthetics. Finally, to the bottom right, we're showing the red line black and white elevations where we are showing those additions in red. So to start, looking again at this, the Plan 1 Spanish elevation, we've added shutters to both the left and right elevations. On top of that, per commissioner feedback, on the front, we have darkened the stucco, so that way the covered porch is now matching the stucco highlight on the color board where the garage is at. So previously, the pop-out in the front elevation was a different color than it is now. Now it's lightened, and behind that is now darkened stucco. On the rear elevation, we have increased the height and the width of the roof enhancement above the sliding glass door. You'll see that this is a recurring addition that we have made across all the plans. That was, again, per commissioner feedback, and we've done that. While it might not necessarily be in the exact same spot, it is something that has been done across all plans. And finally, we have also added shutters on 2 of the rear windows, as well as decorative clay pipes, which can be seen where the roof enhancement has been widened. Moving on to the Craftsman elevation on Plan 1. we have added a stone veneer to the fence line on the left elevation, which is also being shown on the front elevation on the walls on both sides of the garage. So where that stone veneer is on the garage, again, is extending to that left elevation to the fence line. On the rear elevation, again, that roof enhancement being heightened and widened. And we've also added shutters, a 4-inch deep stone veneer below the double windows, and board and batten at the gable end. And finally, we've also added shutters to the right elevation. Plan 1 for the farmhouse. We see the shutters have been added to the left and right elevations. We've also added the brick veneer to the left elevation now, so that is an addition there. So it does extend around from the garage. And on the rear, in addition to the roof, which the height and width has been increased, we've added shutters and the brick veneer below the double windows, and the board and batten at the gable end. Moving on to Plan 2 for the Spanish. Shutters have been added to the left and right elevations. We have added the roof enhancement on the rear elevation, shutters on one window, the 4-inch deep stucco base below the double window, and also the clay pipes. Plan 2 for the craftsman. We have, for the left elevation and the right elevation, we've added shutters to the window. At the left elevation, we've also increased the depth of the board and batten material by 12 inches. That has also been done on the right elevation. For the front, we've added the stone veneer to under the window at bedroom 3, which is at the front there. And we have revised the porch columns to match the columns on both plans 1 and 2. Going back to that stone veneer, that has also been wrapped around the right elevation to the fence line. Finally, in the rear elevation, the commissioner comments have also been addressed with the roof enhancement, the shutters, the stone veneer below the windows, and the board and batten at the gable end. Plan 2 for the cottage. The shutters, again, the left and right elevations. That is something you'll see that we've done on all the plans. The stone veneer under the window at the front elevation, which has also been extended around to the right elevation to the fence line. And at the rear elevation, we've addressed the commissioner comments of the roof enhancement, shutters, the stone veneer below the double windows, and the fiber. This one has fiber cement siding at the gable end. Moving on to Plan 3, back to the Spanish. Shutters on both the left and right elevations have been added. On the front, we have, again, revised that stucco color of the covered porch. That is now being matching the stucco highlight from the color board. Similar to the first Spanish one that we saw, we have changed the color so that the above the porch is that darker color versus the front. On the rear elevation, we have also had the roof enhancement above the triple windows. So again, not over the door, this is over the windows. And we've had added shutters, the 4-inch stucco base below the window at the master bedroom, and we've also added clay pipes where the roof enhancement is. Plan 3 for the cottage. Shutters have been added, both left and right elevations. We've added the stone veneer to the front of the front elevation. We've also extended it to the right elevation to the fence line. And at the rear, we have the roof enhancement, the shutters, the stone veneer beneath the windows, and the fiber cement siding at the gable end. Plan 3 for the farmhouse. Shutters have been added to the left and right elevations. We have brick veneer at the front elevation that's been added. It's also been wrapped around the right elevation to the fence line. We have added for the rear shutters to the windows for the master bedroom. We have the roof enhancement and the brick veneer below the triple windows in this case, and the board and batten at the gable end. Plan 4, the Spanish. This one we have for the left and right elevations. We've added shutters to the windows. We've also added a 4-inch deep stucco base below the windows, and that's to be painted that stucco highlight color for some contrast. At the front elevation, we have revised the stucco at the shelf below the windows, it's also matching that stucco highlight color that I mentioned on the left and right elevations. And at the rear, we have the stucco base below the triple windows. And we've also added the roof enhancement, shutters, the decorative shelf, and the clay pipes. Plan for the Craftsman. At the left and right elevation, we have added shutters to the windows. We've added the stone veneer going to the fence line on both of the left and right elevations. And we've increased the depth of board and batten material to 12 inches. The front elevation, the stone veneer has also been added below the bedroom and to the walls of both sides of the garage. At the rear, we have the roof enhancement, shutters, stone veneer below the double windows, and the board and batten at the gable end. Plan 4 for the farmhouse. For the left and right elevations, we have added the outlooker and board and batten material to the gable end. We've also extended the brick veneer to the fence line. Also on the right elevation, we've added shutters to the windows at the den. For the front elevation, we have the brick veneer that's now below the bedroom 2 and at both sides of the garage. And we've replaced the brick at the bedroom to continue with board and batten. And going to the rear elevation, we have the roof enhancement, we have the brick veneer that's been added below the triple windows, and board and batten at the gable end. We've also added shutters to the window at the master bedroom. Moving on to the final plan, Plan 5. With the Spanish, shutters have been added to the left elevation. The front elevation, we have that same stucco revision. It's a different stucco revision from the other Spanish, but there has been a revised stucco color. These are going to be at the base of the entry columns and the shelf below the windows at the bedroom. And that also is matching the stucco highlight from the color board, or contrast. And then at the rear elevation, we have the roof enhancement, shutters to the windows, the stucco, 4-inch deep stucco base below the triple windows, and the clay pipes at the gable. Plan 5 for the Craftsman. There has been a roof element that has now been added over in the left and right elevation. It's over the windows. You can see over there, one is the bedroom and one is for the flex space. And there's also been a stone veneer that has been extended on the right elevation to the fence line. So it's now being wrapped around both left and right elevations. The front, we've added stone under the windows of the bedrooms. And we revised the porch columns to match the plans 1 and 4, which was a comment we saw earlier for the Craftsman. And at the rear, again, we have the Commissioner comments, the roof enhancement, added shutters, the stone veneer below the double windows, and the board and batten at the gable end. And finally, we have Plan 5, the cottage. On the left and right elevations, we've added that roof element over the windows. And we've also extended the stone veneer to the fence line so that both sides now have that extension. The front elevation's added a stone veneer below the bedroom windows. And the rear elevation includes the Commissioner comments about the roof enhancement, the added shutters, the added stone veneer below the windows, and in this case, the fiber cement siding at the gable end. So with that, we feel that we have taken the Commissioner's comments to heart and we've addressed them through the plans that we've gone through. So thank you for your patience in going through that. Next, I just want to quickly go through again what the overall elevation plans that we have. Again, looking at Spanish, that is offered on all 5 of our plans. And we do offer a variety of finishes when it comes to color and other features. So we do see a variety. It's not just we're repeating the same Spanish elements over and over. They are unique across all 5 plans. Craftsmen are being offered on 4. We have cottage that are being offered on 3 of the plans, and farmhouse being offered on 3 of the plans as well. Finally, the other comment that we received from our last meeting was in regards to the enhanced elevations. And we came away with needing to put the corner lots to be plotted with a plan 4 or 5 that have enhanced elevations. So on this site map we're seeing here, the yellow highlighted lots are where enhanced elevations will be available again on the plans 4 and 5. And I will go through what exactly that means. So for an example, we have Plan 4, the Spanish elevation. On looking at the right elevation, where we have added additional shutters, as well as a 12-inch pop-out enhancement that is going to the other elevation shown here. It's visible from the front. So looking at the front elevation on the bottom left, it's a little bit hard to tell here, but on your copies it hopefully is a little bit more visible. That it is visible from the street. From the rear, which is on the bottom right, it is visible. And then obviously at the top it's visible if you're looking directly at the side elevation. And similar programming has been offered on the other Plan 4 and 5 elevations. So just to give you an idea of what that might look like, just showing the side elevations for the remaining 5 plans, so 6 in total, that will be offering those enhanced elevations. So with that, we would like to open up for any questions you may have. We thank you for your time and for your feedback. We are very proud of the product that we have come up with and hope that we have satisfied the needs of the commission. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your report. Do we have any speakers on this item?
There is one speaker, David Paul.
Chair Carter and Commissioners, good afternoon. And first of all, congratulations. I didn't know what I was going to say today when I came here, but it looks like we've done a great thing. And I would also like to thank the applicant for making these changes. I hope that it doesn't change the price too much. But, you know, you guys should be commended because in all my years, I was sitting there thinking, how many years? A decade, 15 years? I've been coming to Planning Commission meetings and stuff like that, and I've never seen so much effort go into it. But now I see the results and I understand, so I applaud that. We need the housing. KB is a great ally to this city, and we just need to push forward with this, I feel, because we need these homes. It's about the total growth of our city and the long-term planning. But you did a great job of making some changes that, just as I sit here, I realize are going to enhance the viability of these homes. You know, I know as a first-time home buyer, you go in and sometimes you're just glad to see a roof over your head. But these homes are more beautiful now thanks to your effort and the applicant, and I applaud you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Your words are appreciated. Do we have any questions from the commission?
I have a couple questions, but I also wanted to add that he forgot to say thank you to staff because staff works really, really hard, and I thank them too for bringing these things forward. So I just have a couple questions and concerns. One is, what is an outlooker? Because I don't know what that is.
Outlooker is a wooden bracket detail that's up in the upper end of the gable. Usually occurs on Craftsman elevations.
Okay, so is it the same as a corbel?
No,
Or
a
similar?
little similar but different.
Okay.
You know, the corbels can be wood, outlookers can be wood, but usually the outlookers are in the top of the gable end. The corbels are usually underneath cantilevers, you know, helping to hold up the cantilever.
Then on I'm looking for it. All right. The design guidelines call out to incorporate window panels into garage doors, and I don't see that at all on any of these garage doors. I'd like to see that added.
As a
Part of
standard
the
or an option?
Design guidelines.
I mean, were we usually going to do that?
Incorporate window panels into garage door.
We'd like to offer it. Clearly, we'd like to offer it as an option. You know, clearly, it just, you know, it kind of gets to the whole issue of we're adding costs and we keep increasing and adding costs. We're happy to offer it as an option. You know, sometimes people like having it. Sometimes maybe they don't like having the windows in their garages for security purposes. People can look into them, so we'd like to offer it as an option.
Commissioner Donovan, would you be amenable to having the windows as an option? Seeing as, in my mind, it would be something that I would, if I was looking at a home for security reasons, maybe I don't want windows. As long as they're offered, would that be amenable to you?
Well, I don't want to set a precedent and say that they can't have them without a little bit of discussion. I mean,
That's why I'm asking.
I would like to see at least 50% of the garages to have windows. And is that a possibility?
I mean, there again, I mean, Commissioner, we can do it. I'm just we're adding something that just might not be something that every buyer would want, that's all. I mean, obviously, it's something that's doable, but I'm more concerned that we're adding something that maybe buyers just wouldn't want. So to offer it to buyers, to any buyer, to every buyer, I think makes sense as opposed to just mandating that we implement it on certain ones.
I don't have a copy of the site plan. I know you gave us things. Your garage doesn't exceed 50% of the width of the house
Correct. It does not.
on all the plans?
It does not, correct.
I guess this is, a case by case. I appreciate everything that you added. Let me ask another question before I answer that. On your Spanish style, the arches, do you have a foam around the arches? I think you show it
I
in
think some of them do and some of them don't. We wanted to
break
keep
it up.
the variety, which also is why we didn't do arches on every Spanish elevation. 3 of the elevations in Spanish do have the round arches and the entryways, and 2 of them have the flat soffits with the trim and the stucco corbels.
So your plan 2, does that have it? Because I see it on the
Plan
front
1
page.
Spanish does not have the arches.
Okay.
It has the flat soffit at the entry. The Plan 2 does have the arches,
Does
but
it
it
have-
does not have trim around the arches.
Could that be added?
Sure. The Plan 3, I think, does have the trim at the arch. No, the Plan 3 is a flat soffit. I think must be the Plan 4.
On the Spanish? Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, the Plan 4 does. Like I said, we're going for variety. And then the Plan 5, I think, is just arches without the trim. But, yeah, I don't think we'd have any problem putting the additional trim on the arches, if you like.
Yeah. Why don't you explain your opinion?
My opinion is to leave plans 2 and 4 the way they are. My motivation behind that is there's already a horizontal element across Plan 2 for, like the foam extrusion, it goes horizontally at the brick line. But then on Plan 4, if you put the foam around the arch in Plan 2, it's going to look complex because you're going to have a horizontal line and then you're going to have an extrusion for the foam around there. Whereas Plan 4, it does have it because that's the only extruded element that's for that face. So, which I'm basically saying,
Leave it alone.
leave it the way it is.
Okay.
Okay, and I agree.
That's why we designed it that way.
My other concern is, are your roof awnings 30 inches?
Only on the Craftsman elevation, because that's architecturally appropriate. Spanish and cottage and farmhouse aren't really appropriate for deep extending overhangs.
And how deep are they?
On the Craftsman,
On the others? You said
12 inches.
Okay, so, one of our concerns is the heat around this area. The sun, the heat. 12 inches doesn't provide a lot of shade. I guess my concern is, I know that would be costly to implement at this point. So I was able to go look at some model homes today and noticed that some of the awnings on houses extend over where the windows are. So they're not flat or consistently the same size. So around the windows, they come out like, at one point there, you'd say 12, and then they'd come out to maybe another 6 inches for the areas around the windows.
I understand, yeah. I think I was looking for the one Spanish elevation.
All right,
and,
especially the Spanish ones, because the Spanish ones look, to me, still look a bit plain. I would also like to see, awnings that have that,
yeah, the Plan 4 elevation does have that awning on the front elevation. It spans across 2 windows.
okay, I'm okay with the awnings. I think in your future development and, future development in the city, we'd probably want awnings that are 30 inches for, deal with the sun. But mainly, I think the 2 stories would be it'd be more beneficial. So I'm good with that.
Yeah. Once again, these are all single-story homes, so.
I have something to say. I think my biggest concern, well, one thing I will definitely compliment you and say that you definitely did some of the things that we wanted you to do, the majority of them. I appreciate that. Again, I think my biggest concern is the pricing for the first-time home buyer. That's what you're into, is the first-time home buyer. And like Commissioner Donovan said, these are not they're not 2-story homes. And for the square footage, which starts at what, 1430, I believe? Is it 1430? Am I accurate with that? Or is it 140 something?
Yep, 1430.
That's where it starts, and the houses are $300,000. The last meeting we had, I definitely made sure that I made it very clear that on the east side of Lancaster, where these houses are located, that the home buyer is not suffering for things that are in our actual pamphlet of what is to be done, what needs to be done. We as architectural design commissioners, we're not really concerned we don't care what's on the inside. We don't care what it looks like. We care what the beauty is. Our job is beauty, the beauty of the city of Lancaster, not what the inside looks like. That's not our issue. And to put these fees off on the first-time home buyer, to me, seems unfair when KB has a reputation of being out here, but at the same time, I do know of issues that you build a house hastily, things start happening to the house, and you cut a check instead of building it right the first time, you see. So there's added cost. I just want to make sure that the beauty of the house on the outside doesn't hurt the home buyer too much to where they're just like, this 1-story home that starts at 1,400 square feet for $300,000, that's only it's a 1-story house. I just think that we need to think about that a little bit. I do appreciate what you have done to the outside to do what we need you to do, and that's the architectural design of the house. I appreciate that. And I just want you to just please take in consideration what you said, first-time home buyer.
Can I talk? Okay, so you had mentioned that it depends on the buyer, on how you set up your site plan, depending on your house.
Because we offer them all for sale, so depending on what buyer wants to buy what house on what lot.
So what's your minimum standard of having 2 houses exactly the same next to each other? What are your standards?
It's every 4th home
Okay.
can be the same.
Okay, so would you, do you guys provide a spreadsheet to the planning members so that they can follow what's happening on the site. As, you know, if you come in with 4 houses, how
Right.
are
How
they
do you
going to know
know?
what's happened?
I mean, I would ask staff, I don't know if staff keeps a plot plan. We're happy to do that. That's easy enough for us to do. We do that in-house. We keep that overall site plan, so that way we know, because otherwise you wouldn't know. So we're happy to provide a copy of that site plan when we come in for permitting, so that way they know.
I think that would be good and helpful for the staff.
Sure.
I'm going to go ahead and say in this case, because you made modifications, that I'm not going to ask for the windows, and you can use it as a, you know, on the garage. You can use it as an option. I think I just have one more question. On the enhancement in the back, I see that it went from 10 feet, you know, the roof, the little roof over the window. I don't know what it's called. How high did it go? Did it get taller?
It kind of varies based on the roof pitch. I mean, it can be anywhere from 18 to 24 to 26 inches. You know, on a 4 and 12, it's not going to be as high, but the 6 and 12 for the cottage and the farmhouse, it'll be a little bit higher.
Okay, thank you. I think you did a good job. I think in the future, I'd like to see, you know, more board and batten on the sides. But at this point, I think we thank you for making all the changes that we requested.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple things also. So to go with the site plan, gentlemen, you were talking about, you have a site plan, you'll come in and our planning commission, our planning team will understand, you know, the requirements that are being laid out here. What are you doing about staggering the fronts from the street, the location of those? Is that in your plan to ensure that they vary, that they're all not just one straight line?
Yeah, actually, you know, we do that. There's a minimum standard. You need 20 feet to the garage, but you have undulating because you have, you know, part of the house is forward, so you have that naturally in the design itself. However, we look at that as well, and it's kind of similar to the every fourth home could be the same if we allow that. We also look at the setbacks, and because you need a minimum of a 20-foot setback, and some of the lots vary in sizes, but we kind of do that as well internally just to make sure we have some undulation, because we just don't want them all with the same plane as well.
Okay, thank you. And then I believe originally the intent was to have a minimum of 72 square feet of porch, because one of the items in our architectural guide is to have porches to bring in the community. Some of these are very small. Is there any way they could enhance those porches?
I don't think any of the porches were under 72. They're at least 72.
Well, some of them have
or
a
more.
walk tunnel way to the
Right.
front door, which doesn't seem like much of a porch.
But it did meet the guidelines as far as square footage and width and depth that was listed in the guidelines.
I think those are minimums.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you
Okay.
look at the majority of the plans, I mean, we have some porches that are 2 or 3 times as big as that, but
Actually, I think one didn't have anything in the way of porch.
yeah, they should all have porches. I mean, they're covered porches. I mean, I know we had one floor plan that was not,
It would
As
be,
wide as the others.
yeah, Plan B, or Plan 5 for the B. It's 6'4" wide by, I don't know how deep it is.
the Craftsman
Oh,
elevation.
never mind, it's got the full,
No,
on
that
the
one
front.
is
where
probably a
was-
good 15, 16 feet wide by about,
yeah,
5 or
there's
6
the
feet
front
deep.
one out there. I lost it in my turn. Okay. One other, because one of the houses has the garage forward, and one of the intents was to have the garage set back a minimum of 12 feet, which none of them have that, and I think we've, to where your design is right now, you're just not going to get that to meet that.
I think that's Plan 2.
Yeah, that's the plan too.
So I'm just not sure with the commission, was that not one of the items we discussed?
Brenda, can you answer that question?
Thought that was one of the items we brought up about the garage.
The garage forward,
Yes.
and that's because we have 5 plans. Right, that's what it is. As long as you need a minimum of 4. If you have 5 plans, then one of them can be a garage forward. That's what the
Let me ask a question
That's
real
correct.
quick. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's correct. So that they are in compliance, and I believe there was a question about how that's interpreted, and it basically says a garage must be at or behind the wall plane of the entrance, and if there's a pop out, the farthest wall would be considered the wall plane, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
An issue I'm having is seeing the garage, the way that I'm looking at Plan 1, Sheet 2, floor plan A. When you're building these homes, by them being 1 story, it seems as though the whole the garage and everything is incorporated in the footage and the square footage in the home. No?
Yeah, garages are generally about 400, 425 square feet.
Right, it doesn't go
So
into
that,
the...
yeah, no, the 1430 for the Plan 1 is all house, does not include the garage.
I just want to be clear on that. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
Yes, so I did find the one. So for Plan 2, floor plan C, the porch at the most there would be 66 square feet. Is there any way you could make that a little over to the side, come forward?
Yeah, we could bring that portion of
I mean,
that
if we're looking
porch
at having a
forward little
porch,
bit.
bring
Yeah,
it
I mean,
forward.
if you look at the side elevation on the,
I mean, we're just looking at
Right
community
side, yeah,
involvement
there's-
where people want to sit out on the front of their house and see their neighbors come by, and that's part of the reason for the community growth here.
This area behind the column, can incorporate this area as well, is what it should be, right? That area,
could be,
right?
it would
That's
change the
what
whole elevation though. 'Cause this would become-
Okay, or let's push that out, bring that up. We'll look at that, Commissioner.
Okay,
Tufts.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, with that, is there any other discussion points or questions for the presenters?
Which plan did you say that was? I'm sorry, Commissioner Tufts. Was that Plan 2 Craftsman or Plan 2 Cottage?
I believe it was
Cottage.
Plan
Oh,
2
okay.
Cottage.
Plan 2
Yeah, it
cottage.
does look a little small. Thank you.
Thanks.
Are you, commissioners, are you looking at the plans in your packet that were delivered to you or the presentation?
I think we're looking at the presentation. Let's go look at the other ones.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page because Plan 2 elevation C, floor plan C is 81 square feet for the porch.
What dimensions do you show on that? Because this is the packet I was given tonight. Because I show it 11 and 1/2, or 11 feet, 1/2 inch by 6 feet.
By 8'6", and then again by 5.
Okay, I
12.
lost the,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. I see the dimension there.
Okay, no problem.
But if you don't have
So does that
room to
mean
sit,
that
we're-
your question's answered?
Yeah,
and
it's
we're
answered.
good?
It's in the
But we still could ask
You're-
space that we're looking for.
Compliance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tufts.
men. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm. Does the commission have any other discussion points or questions? I'd like to thank you for bringing your presentation forward. I am very, very thankful for the changes that you made. I do understand your position with your product market base. However, just to iterate to you, it is our function to make sure that the general look meets the city plan, meets the master plan. So while I feel you on that. I get your point, and I know how KB operates. KB likes to have options both exterior and interior for their homes. I went through that process when I was looking for my first home. So I am sensitive to your position. However, I would hope that you would understand ours. Ours is architecture and design, and we have a guideline, and we have to comply with the guideline. So your points will be taken into consideration for possible refinement to the guidelines, but as they stand today, we have our playbook we have to follow.
Sure.
So I absolutely appreciate you taking the time to consider what the commission had to say and their recommendations, and thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
With that, do we have, let's see, where are we at? Do we have a motion?
I motion that we recommend approval of the project with any modifications that we added.
I can second that.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the project 18-39 with the recommendations that were, should I say, the recommendations that were agreed to tonight? Okay, with the recommendations that were agreed to tonight. Let's vote.
Motion passes 5-0.
Congratulations. Moving on to new business, a discussion and preview of elevations for Richmond American Homes, Director's Review 18-47. Can we have the staff report, please?
Sure. Good evening, Chairman Carter, members of the Architectural Design Commission. I wanted to take a moment and describe the process a little bit more than give a staff report. This is a very new concept for the city of Lancaster, and we're really excited to roll it out. The applicant is the very first, so we're really happy that we were able to do that on this same evening. Basically, what this process entails, it's a preview of the proposed elevations. So what you would see is a concept. It's at the early stages of the design, and it's an opportunity for the commission to view it, provide some feedback, provide some direction, whether or not the applicant is headed in the right direction or not. It also allows the applicant an opportunity to have a dialogue with the commission, hear you out, and incorporate any and all changes before they come back to you for final action. And that's the purpose of tonight's meeting, to provide you all with the concept for this particular development. The applicant will guide you, walk you through their site, provide you with elevations, are here to answer any questions, and take it forward. There is no action on this item. This is solely for feedback. At a future meeting, we would come back to you with an action, but that is not the intent of tonight's item.
Understood.
And with that, I'd like to turn it over to the applicant.
Before we go there,
yes.
I do want to say this. I am a big fan of this process. Things are changing, and this is a very good way to preemptively quell any questions and discussion points or sticking points. So anytime we can be proactive with the applicant, with the staff, in order to smooth that process, I am definitely in favor of, and I thank you for kind of quarterbacking this new paradigm. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Gotta bring football into it.
The season's about to start.
'Tis the season.
I'm reminded with my husband's fantasy football. But I also wanted to add just a quick note as well. You will note that we provided a copy of comments that were provided by staff, so you should have that in front of you, and you will see that there are very specific comments. The applicant has not yet addressed these. Their goal is to incorporate these comments as well as your comments into their next submittal. So I wanted to make sure that you had that and that you knew that. Sure.
Thanks, Larissa.
Good evening. My name is Tommy Ekus. I'm a project manager with Richmond American Homes. Appreciate your time. Like Larissa said, this is a new concept. We're excited to be here. We're excited to present what we feel is a really neat opportunity for us to get into the city of Lancaster. And we hope you like what we're going to put forward. I want to do a quick little background on the project, where it's located, what's currently there, and then I'll turn it over to my architect, and he'll kind of run through the floor plans and different elevations and architectural elements that we're going to propose. So the project's located on 50th and J8. It was previously approved for construction and development back in 2005. We all know what happened shortly after that. The market tanked. And unfortunately, the original developer only got to build 13 houses. So this is kind of a unique project that there's already an existing neighborhood. There's already existing chemistry there. We have spoken to some of these community members. They're very excited for someone to come in, hopefully us, to come in here and add to their community and finish it out. The models were located right here. And so everything around these guys is completely vacant and fenced off. So as you can tell from a community standpoint, it's a little bleak, to say the least. Similar to KB, we're targeting that first-time home buyer. However, we are providing a series of 6 floor plans with 5 elevations. 3 floor plans will be 2-story products. 3 stories will be single-story products. We're excited to introduce this new product into the city of Lancaster. We think that it's going to be received fairly well based on surveys and other communities that we have kind of in the surrounding area. They range in size from 35-foot wide to 40-foot wide. We plan on models kind of running off of here, and we'll have a nice marketing corridor in this way. That's pretty much it, the overview of the product. We did, as Larissa said, we did go in for our first submittal. We received the comments. We had a nice talk earlier in the week, addressing the comments, kind of what the expectations are. I think it was very beneficial for both sides, so I really do appreciate that. Our goal is to get some feedback from you guys as well. What we want to do is have a very nice, concise, complete package for next month where we could hopefully take an action and get this project moving. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gary Clean with WHA, our architect. Thank you again for your time. We really do appreciate it. We look forward to working with you guys. So this is your pointer, and there and back.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening. Gary Cunningham for the record. Sorry how he pronounced it, but it's Cunningham. I'm an architect with William Hesmholtz Architects down in Orange County, also known as WHA. We have designed projects for Richmond American Homes before in this city. It was constructed in 2011 during the recession, and we were very successful with the product and how it was received by the community. So again, we are here again today to present, as Tommy said, 3 1-stories and 3 2-stories. The last time we built, we only built all 2-story product. So the prior builder before us is presenting all 1-stories, so we may have an advantage over them. We have 2 stories. So with that being said, there's quite a bit of information. I believe each member has a large packet. Is that correct? Again, it's preliminary. It's pretty in-depth, a lot of pages, and you can kind of get lost going through those. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the product type. So from the styles, as we were saying, that Spanish predominantly is our first style. We have traditional is the B, Craftsman, Italian 8, and I believe the last one is California Prairie. So each plan has each style available for plotting. The product, as we're starting this process, this is a preliminary conceptual site plan. We have not gone through and done extensive setback establishment. Right now, it was just something quickly colored. Matter of fact, the presentation was quickly pulled together in the last 48 hours. So I will not go through the 148 slides. I will keep this short. So, again, this is preliminary. Thank you for allowing me to come out and present the product in the infant stages. And we know that we're very much aware, working with staff. We have the community guidelines, residential guidelines, zoning codes, and we will be working through that in the next month. So I'd like to be back and present the project officially next month. But I'll be glad to take any preliminary comments. I have my notepad here. I've taken some notes, and from the prior applicant, I kind of see where we should be going, and we'll get there. So I don't have a problem with that. Okay, so let's get on with the show. Okay, here are some examples, which are not in your packet, of existing homes that are currently on the site, as Tommy was saying. This product is much wider. This is about a 50 to 55 foot wide product. It has 3 cars as well as 2-car garages. The driveways are consistently same common color asphalt with different styles of architecture behind. I do not have the setbacks on these, but they do have a blend of porches and covered entries as well as our product does. The use of stone, the use of brick is complementing with the style of architecture, and we do have that as well as in our package. So not to spend too much time again, this is the existing that's out there. We're trying to be cohesive and trying not to delineate where our product starts and their product finishes. So we're trying to blend through. We are looking at their colors, their street scene colors, as well as our colors that have been proven to be used with this type of architecture. So with that, let's move on to our proposed. This is a collage, I believe you have it on the cover page, of the styles just kind of put together with some landscaping of what you would typically see in a xeriscape landscape setting. The garages, again, are accented with different patterns based on garage door styles. We do have optional garage door windows that are available for the home buyers as well. Window grids are complementing to the style of architecture. All homes have window trim surrounds on the sides and rears. We also have enhancement elements that are in the gables or on the rear elevations that can occur at view or exposed to the beltways. That would be like 57th Street, any of the surrounding streets that you can see, as well as any pie-shaped lots, et cetera, would be also activated as enhancements. So moving kind of quickly through. This particular page is found in your booklet. This is the material page that calls out the use of materials, be it a clay outlooker that's found in the gable end of the Spanish, a horizontal siding found in the gable end, or brick or stone. So the labeling, sorry for the reduction in scale. It's a little hard to read sometimes, but this will identify the materials we're using per particular style. As we go through the elevations again.
Gary?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Over here.
Oh,
Yeah, I just want to ask, are those the same pages that are in the big packet?
Yes.
Okay, maybe that'll help.
The sheet numbers on the bottom right, just next to the WHA, this is 1.3.2.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that will help you guide you through. So Plan 1, again, there's quite a few sheets. I think there's 250, so we'll just kind of do the highlight reel. The color schemes, if I'm not mistaken, they may be in the back of this. Can someone turn to the very back and tell me if there's color schemes inserted in there? I can't remember if they. Okay. Typically, on our next submittal, we'll include the color swatches, very similar to maybe something like this. Instead of physical boards, we'll actually include the swatches so you can kind of see. Sometimes councils request us to label the schemes, and it's not a problem to do, so that helps the council to associate the color in the back. We can do that if that's so desired. Again, moving kind of quickly, it repeats itself, so I'll just kind of find the highlights here. Spanish elevation, here we go. Zoom in on this one. This is the Onyx plan, smallest plan. Different ways to interpret Spanish. It can be Spanish Monterey, Spanish Collectix, Spanish Santa Barbara. There's many different ways to go with Spanish. A couple different things we're looking at, listening to the last group, that we could come and offer maybe some decorative tile around the entryway. Sometimes the foam's kind of boring. Maybe we can use some decorative tile to enhance it too. Or say, here is the arrival to the entry. On the sides, as you can see, there are colored window trims at the top and bottom, and also at the top of the gable. In the past, we don't typically highlight on our exhibits, we call it the dead side or the garage side because it's never going to be plotted on a corner. However, if council feels it's necessary, we can carry the same detail around. Rear elevation, nice feature, has an offset, gable in, and later on it gives us an opportunity.
Can I
enhance.
interject? Because
Sure.
I think it'll expedite the process.
Great.
Because we don't want to go back. So can you go back one slide? And so you weren't here for the previous month's discussion with Kaufman and Broad, and one of the things that came up was, according to the architectural design standards, we require 360-degree articulation. And so this would be an example of where you would want to add additional elements as much as possible. So
How's that one?
that's
Gable outlookers in the top.
that's better, but yeah, that's better. But definitely,
I understand exactly what you're looking
yeah,
for.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Because there's other components to that, but that's what I wanted to say is that 360 articulation is a definite point, especially the location of these houses and everything like that. This is everywhere in the city we want every angle of it covered, even the back or even the dead walls as much as possible.
I was
with
kind of
creative elements, like they use the foam components, the fiber boards and stuff like that, just depending upon
the style of architecture from material.
correct. Whether it's a Craftsman or a Spanish style or whatever like
Sure.
that,
I kind of collected that towards the end. I
Okay.
kind of was looking at what was being approved. So
Yeah, and actually, if I don't know if I can advise you this, but if you look back at our videos or our meetings are online, and you watch a previous presentation that
before and after picture.
well, yes, and also how much we were persistent about the 360 articulation with them. So we're trying to express that here.
Larissa did communicate that just as early as Tuesday, so I do hear that, and we will follow up with that.
And I do see that there's a note in
Yes.
these notes that mention that too.
So kind of keep moving along here. As well as we have a fence line, they have a fence line, again, just kind of similar, trying to keep similar so it's easier for council to, or commission to compare. So having the same elements as drawing. Matter of fact, the short story is the architect that was here, I actually hired him. I worked at KB, so I'll take care of it. Okay, so moving right along, let's get into some other stuff.
If you can go back actually a couple slides. When you start with that one, actually, that'll
one?
work. So when you put on the additional garage, it becomes more than 50% of the front of the house,
Yes.
clearly, on all of these.
That is
And-
an option, and I'm not even sure if that's going to comply, even if it's an option. So I believe my client's already looking into that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think for further discussion, we'll probably have to reconsider that.
Thank you.
It's
Because those are little.
the smaller product. This is a 40-foot wide product, and I understand the 50% we are complying currently, but once you tack on the 3-car, that kind of changes the math.
Is that 3-car? I thought it was only
No,
about-
I'm sorry. When you add the third bay,
Oh,
that
okay.
gets you the 3rd car, then the math doesn't work.
All right, thank you.
Possibly, if you pushed it back 12 feet, we would consider it. I mean, I'm
I'm
not
sorry,
saying that we
did-
wouldn't.
Did you say 12 feet?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
possibly,
That's-
from the front.
That's what I was thinking about too. If you had the third car garage set back,
Far enough.
now you're 50% of the front fascia of the house still remains with the 2-car, and then the third car garage is set back some.
With windows and things, it
I've-
might work.
I've done similar where the third bay is offset, or excuse me, the half of the 2-car is offset, and the tandem slides behind it. So you
Yes.
get the look, it looks like a 2-car.
65th Street West. 65th Street West and M8. Larger floor plans that go up to
Right.
above 4,000 square feet, but that's what they do is they're articulated out on the third bay. It's a shorter internal bay, but it gives the depth.
Okay.
I have one other thought
Of
about
course.
garages.
Yeah, stop me
Just
at any
make-
time,
let me-
I'll just keep going.
I just want to make a very quick point. Staff will tell you if that's okay. We're just throwing ideas around. We're not mandating anything.
We're spitballing right now.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure the disclaimer is out there that we're not directing anything right now.
Sure. Yes.
I think the design guidelines talk about varying garages so that not all of them face front. I'm just throwing that out there, give you some more ideas on, how you could change some of the things that you're doing. But I think if I looked at this right, I'm not sure. I might be getting confused. Is the garage 6 feet back from the plane of the front?
Yes.
And so then what I was talking about, the other one, push it back, more. But it does talk in the design guidelines, and I don't know if staff brought it up because I didn't have enough time to read it. Turn the garage sideways, those kind of things.
Yeah, variation, a side or swing garage or side turn garage. Okay.
I have one thing to say.
Anything.
One thing is I definitely want to compliment you. I know that area very well, and I will say those houses over there to me are already beautiful. And if you are just looking at some of those houses with the tandem garages, that's the one with the two car, and then you have one that's separate, like we've been discussing. Those are beautiful to me. I think that you can do so many different things. You have so many options with those types of garages, where if you want to use a 2-car, fine, then you have a separate. I think that the idea of building those houses in that area, and just the idea that we're just throwing ideas around and you're just getting feedback from us is a wonderful thing. And I think you guys, honestly, in my opinion, are on the right track with those homes. And I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
And one more thing as we're here is Commissioner Donovan pointed out the 30-inch overhang for the eaves.
Yes, I did see that in guidelines, and I believe that is for solar and for passive. However, due to new energy code items and how we design each house, all of our houses are taking consideration the energy consumption. I believe the solar package is on the house as well. We do have varying roof pitches and overhangs based on style, but not every house has a 30-inch overhang. And if you do that, then it kind of puts you from one extreme to the other, and everything starts looking the same. So the variety helps. So having Craftsman with a longer overhang, or the Frank Lloyd Wright Prairie low pitch overhang, you'd see that. We do have those overhangs that are larger. But not every elevation has that.
And the porches?
Porches, as we're working through staff, we got that as a correction. Well, we have covered entries because the product width. I was looking at that just a minute ago in the audience, that to go back to address to have every house, again, to have a porch and a narrow product, then what it does is then every house starts to look the same. So I understand it's in your guidelines, and we can comply with that. Again, we're just going from one extreme to the other. So I'm on a narrow product right now. I have a covered entry, but I can introduce porches.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
What's maybe I missed it. I don't know. You said what was the square footage that you're proposing?
Oh, the range?
Yeah.
1,500
to a little over 3,000.
Yeah.
What's existing there now? Like, what is the range of square?
It's like 2,500 to 36, but that was also a very different time when they were building houses. That was just a very different time when, the market was great, everyone could
Everything
afford
was
those
bigger and
square
better.
houses.
And what would be the price range?
The price range right now, pending market conditions and pending final architecture, direct costs.
Yeah, please.
Oh, sorry. So pending market conditions and direct costs, final elevations, et cetera, we're looking from the smaller end to around mid-3s to the upper, little over 3,000 square foot homes to right around mid-4s. We do offer, like Gary was saying, the optional 3rd-car garage, the covered patio option. So we do present the buyer with various options, maybe not as much as the previous applicant did. But we find that the homeowner, through surveys and everything, really enjoy the backyard space versus the front yard space. I know one of the comments is kind of articulating the streetscape, right? Pushing things back, pulling things forward. Our proposal would we could vary it a little bit. We find that the homeowner is actually more happy with a 30-foot deep backyard versus, you know, a varied streetscape. We can do myriad of things with landscaping, different street trees, different shrubbery, that kind of stuff to really enhance that streetscape.
Would you offer the option of that third-car garage being made into a living space?
No. Yeah, it wouldn't. The functionality wouldn't work. The third car garage is actually popular from a storage standpoint, is what we're finding. People are parking 2 cars in their 2-car garage, and the third car kind of kids' playroom. I saw one time. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the boat is popular. Another thing out that we're also potentially looking at would be like an RV parking option, where we would actually provide the concrete up with a nice gate where they would be able to park their RV behind a gate. It's secure. We provide electrical hookup, all that stuff. So then it's off the street, because what we are finding, unfortunately, in some areas, are people are just kind of leaving their RVs on the street, or they're pulling onto their side of the yard, and this would potentially provide the buyer a place to really park their RV.
So to that point, what is your side yard measurement?
So ours, we're roughly, I think, 10 to 15 feet.
Yeah. 10 on one side.
So, and that changes if the buyer selects a third car garage. Obviously, the plotting kind of shifts over to maximize the non-side garage.
So is that 10 to 15 feet property line to
edge of house?
To edge of house?
Yep.
Okay.
And what zone
So these
is
are
it?
R7000?
And the width is typically, what, 60?
65. It fluctuates in there.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, Gary. Yeah. You wanna keep going?
Color schemes. So let's see if I can get back to where I was. There we go. Good. Quick.
You know, I just want to make sure that I let this be known. Like I said, we care about the outer beauty of the home, as you've been hearing. But looking at the way you've mapped this and actually given us a little bit of an insight of what the home would look like on the inside is a wonderful thing, and I really appreciate that, because it just adds that much more beauty to the home.
Thank you.
One thing I noticed is that you're not breaking up the plane when it's over 50 feet in length. It's a flat rectangular look. I see on one side you broke it up, but the other side.
Can you direct a page that you may be looking at, or a plan name?
Well, this is like Onyx S902.
Oh yeah. Hang on.
Look up the design
It's it's the floor plan for I think it says 1.0.
Yeah, you'll be on the floor plans. I do not have
Okay.
the floor plans here,
Okay.
but go ahead and speak so I can understand what you're referring to. So you're saying 50 linear feet in a wall plane?
You need to break it.
Yeah, it needs to have articulation of some sort, not just exterior articulation, but a change so that it's not a flat wall down the full length. I apologize.
Thank you.
I don't know what
That's
page
exactly-
it is.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
So,
in the design plan standard.
Okay, so floor plan, wall more than running 50 linear feet needs an offset?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
I think they have it.
So we're at 58 linear feet.
Correct on that.
Okay,
one.
and then, okay.
So they're saying like a bump out or something?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like
'cause-
you could bump out the master, for example.
Like 12 inches. It's got enough
Well,
room to do it.
Are you referring to the left side, which is the bedroom through the great room, the long side?
Yes.
Oh, is
Okay.
that the
Yeah,
level?
that would be like the dining, so if I was to pull the dining room out or something.
Correct.
Okay,
well,
thank
yeah, I
you.
was saying like the dining
Like,
room
you pop
or
out
the
like a
bed. I
bed,
guess it's
so
not a
that's what
master,
you're
but
referring to.
the,
Or,
the
yeah,
bedroom.
the dining room, kitchen area.
Yeah, like a
Or if
Any-
you wanted to do it from the dining room all the way back, you could do it that way
Yeah.
too.
Okay, thank you. Can I keep this?
Thank you.
because that will help cover our 360 articulation detail.
That counts towards that?
It does
Yes.
count towards it. We still have an expectation of having, finished elements, often shutters, things like that. Those are the ideas that we're
Okay.
suggesting, not telling you you have to do it, obviously.
Yeah, most likely the one stories is the prior applicant had one stories too. I'm sure that they had plane breaks in their floor plans as well. Okay. Yeah, when we get to two stories, we're going to be a lot shorter than 50, so I guess we're okay there. Okay, thank you. Any more?
But we would like it to be articulated, especially along the street and along the back, along landscape maintenance districts. When you see it in the back, like pop out or something. You do at Richmond America in Anna Verde. I like that plan a lot. What you did in Anna Verde was
Yeah.
very nice. We want something comparable.
Okay. So here's the Onyx, the rear elevation. It has a projection off the back, which gives you an opportunity for a full hip house on the rear. And there should be also a gable opportunity with that opportunity as well. Okay. Looking for more.
What I've heard, especially from Commissioner Donovan, is she kind of gave you the model,
Right.
which is
Yeah, I heard that part.
Anna Verde.
I'm looking for anything else.
Those are really, really, really nice. So
So that was a move-up buyer.
Yeah, that's
Just to let you, that was a move-up buyer. That product was 50 foot and all 2 stories. It was somewhat box-on-box product. It was
just
nice.
shrink them.
And that's kind of what we're doing. We're putting it on a diet. Shrinking it.
I just see like that one right there. I think that's the front. The garage is domineering in that on that page, and so I don't know if it's 50% or more, but all I see is a garage.
Mathematically, it is below 50%. There is an offset of 6.5 feet from the entry.
Okay,
We
good.
can maybe downgrade the color of the garage to make it disappear.
Blend a little
Yeah,
bit.
blend. We can do things like that as well.
Well, it's gonna, but in the west side, we would expect the windows on the garage doors
We
because
do-
that's a nicer area.
So a comment regarding the windows. For safety reasons, as Commissioner Carter brought up, we find that a lot of home buyers actually don't want that.
Who's on vacation? Who's not there?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we literally found that we provide it as an option, and they actually shrug away from it. Not only that, with the temperatures up here, it really heats up the garage, which also causes some concerns for the buyer as well. So we will. I think we are proposing it as an option. We do provide it. We find very, very rarely that someone actually does purchase it.
My whole
unfortunately.
neighborhood has it.
Do they?
Yeah, it was a part of the project. It wasn't an option. It was something that they gave it to us. Nobody's changed the garage to close the windows down.
Yeah, that's just what we hear from the community and surveys and stuff. Things are getting a little tighter nowadays. So, but something we can definitely look at.
Use of stone and brick on particular elevations, we try to accent the entry or the focal point and de-emphasize the garage. So by accenting the garage with stone on the right side in this particular case, or brick, we are adding stone to the elevation. That sometimes people feel that that's a good enhancement, but it also does is it brings that back into plane. So we want to enhance the focal point of the entry, the elements of the windows and shutters, and de-emphasize the garage. So in some cases, you will find stone and brick on the garage wing, but not all the time. And that's, from the design side, that's why. Get into a two-story here. Okay, here we go. So with the two-story elements, we introduce a low one-story element over the garage, so we do not stack box on box. So it brings color of roofing material over the garage to break up the wall plane. This is a little clearer. You can see that there is articulation in the gables. In this color, it's kind of accented with color. In some other elevations, when it's darker, it's a little hard to see in the video. But the black and whites, and you do have a handout in front of you. Use of shutters is predominant. However, certain styles do have shutters, and some styles do not have shutters. So Prairie, we try to minimize the use because that's the style of architecture, but it has more of a horizontal line, so it tends to have a band around it and a break of massing with color. Some of the elements.
I do have one. Definitely do not want to leave tonight without bringing this issue up. Due to the fact that the solar panels, the solar farm, or whatever you want to call it, is located not really that much of a distance from where you're building these homes. It's a distance away, but at the same time, how are you dealing with the weight of the solar panels with those roofs? Because it seems like it's being promoted to do solar panel, but are the roofs are they going to be capable of handling the heat, the weight?
I'm the technical architect too, and I'll be glad to answer that question. I'll try to keep it
Great.
under 50 words. Yes, the structural design of the roof trusses do account for about 2.5 pounds per square foot in the design of the load, tributary load of any kind of array modules or track assembly. The roofs actually are cooler with a solar panel on them because it's actually absorbing the heat and deflecting it, and below it is shadow and the air can move underneath it. All of our roofs are designed with a radiant barrier foil that's in the back side. It's a great system. It's about $200 extra a house. It drops the attic temperature about 20 degrees.
Wow.
It is amazing.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yes,
No,
it does.
I hate heat.
Also, also, these houses have what they call a product called Quiet Cool. It's a whole house ventilation system. You might have seen the ad where as the exterior temperature lowers, cooler, and the attic is still hot. So the radiant temperature is going to still beat on your house, and therefore when I run the air conditioner. What you do is you hit this fan system, open a couple windows or doors strategically, pull the outside cool air inside. It goes into the attic and it pushes it out through the attic. So now your attic just dropped even cooler to the ambient temperature of outside. So you can run your air conditioner less.
That's beautiful.
That's the feature. With California Energy Commission, Energy Code, I can go into it for hours. The bar has been risen each code cycle. So we're coming into the 2017 Energy Code. That will be coming up shortly. And each year since Schwarzenegger took office, every year something's been added and the bar keeps going. So everything has tankless water heaters. Solar's almost standard. We're real close to going to one coat stucco with the house wrapped in foam. There's a lot of features we do daily that goes into the house to help an air conditioner. For example, a house built 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it would be a 5-ton air conditioner. The air conditioner would be running 24/7. Now the air conditioner is almost two-thirds of the size, and it's reduced the amount of operation. It cycles on, cycles off as it's needed. So there's technology has greatly advanced in the last 10, 15 years in energy.
I'm impressed.
Sorry, I'm a code guy, so.
I'd also like to tack onto that we've teamed up with a solar company. Gary is working diligently with our engineer regarding plotting. So I have our solar consultant, our engineer, and our architect all collaborating together to figure out plotting and how that plotting best is the most efficient, right, for the roof styles, or to make sure that solar system that the home buyer is getting 100% maximum capability of that solar. So it's something that we are looking into, we're working with, and we're excited. We're actually excited about it. So.
I have a question about solar. So you're putting panels on top of your roof? Or
Yes.
are you incorporating your roof tiles as solar? Or what's the difference in
I could. I just want to make sure I wasn't boring anybody else, but I got the floor, I guess. I'll be glad to help you out. Today's technology for energy efficiency of integrated tiles for solar, they're just not there yet. They're coming along. They had a big fire and a recall about 5 years ago, so they kind of stopped making them, and they went back to the board. But today, the efficiency of the panels are about 26% efficient. SunPower is the national contract with this builder, as well as the other applicant as well. We actually set the panels down inside, so it's built on top of a asphalt roof that you do not see the asphalt roof. The arrays cover it, but the panels are set down lower in a profile. They're not on a retrofit, so they're above, they're actually set down lower.
That's good. I have a retrofit at my house, and we have problems with birds.
Yes, they like to nest underneath those.
Yeah.
Yes. You can get a skirt to put on it, but depending on if you have a high profile, low profile tile, they can still scurry underneath it. So
Thank you. And then the last question, what about the batteries? Rechargeable, I don't know if they're called
that
rechargeable.
technology is coming online. It has not been a code requirement yet, but I expect probably the next 4 years, they'll probably have it as a mandatory. I actually have solar. It's something I looked at, but to retrofit it and the efficiency of the batteries, they're coming down from big, bulky, looks like almost like a coffin. Now they're coming to the size of like a large suitcase that could be mounted inside of a garage. So they are coming up with newer technology. As we started out with a big phone, now we're down to these little cell phones, so technology and time they'll be more efficient. But right now, they're not typically provided.
Sylvia, Commissioner Donovan. Just one more thing.
Huh?
What are you doing about are your ideas about the homes that are faced, the main part of the house is facing east to west or east to west, where basically the sun is rising and the sun is hitting the entire house, and then when it's going down, it's hitting, versus those homes that are north-south type,
Yes.
where they actually stay cooler that way. So what is going to happen with that?
So the first thing to kind of tie that into solar, the ideal requirement of solar orientation in the northern hemisphere is 110 degrees to 270. Don't ever get solar panels and put them on the north side of your house. That's really not efficient. You can get them, but they're not efficient.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah. So as the sun rises, it activates as soon as the sun hits the solar panel, so it turns on. Is it efficient? Not low horizon sun. You basically want to be optimum for us is true large roof planes facing south-southwest exposure. You're going to get the most economical, and you're going to have the most to collect. So back to the site plan. Just the other day, I asked the consultant civil to send me a solar diagram on top of each lot, so I can then work through assigning the elevation and the plan to every lot per the guidelines. Plus, I have to see if my roofs in that particular lot, in that orientation to that style, to that plan, is meeting solar. So I'm probably one of the few architects around that actually looks ahead of time, because I don't like to get everything approved and have a precise grade. And plan check goes, what about this house? Oops, I have to go back and chase it down and get it revised. So I'm up front, just as I'm here, I'm in the earlier stages collecting information and trying to be proactive to help the process. So how to cool the house, today's technology, I'd be glad to send you a lot of information. What we're doing today is common practice. The building department can help you with that to help explain to the commission of what today's practice is. It's, like I said, it's probably adding about $5,000 to a house. Each code cycle increases. But it is literally amazing between 15 years ago and today, and even 10 years ago, what advances are. So the houses are, if they're stucco or they're siding, they will collect the heat as the sun goes down. The radiant heat is still there, but the insulation in the wall, there's a thing called QII, Quality Insulation Installation. There's a requirements that we do to help beat back that heat away from the structure. So it could be low E windows, argon gas filled. There's many things. Vinyl windows instead of aluminum, etc. So
Thank you.
And I think you also have to, when you plot it out, you have to make sure your windows aren't facing each other on adjacent
yeah.
houses.
So the key, I think, is 2 stories predominantly, because that's the exhibit that I have to explain to civil, that I have to go in there and actually tell them which plan to put on, because each window could be different per plan, and then elevation. So there will be an exhibit for that for staff to review, and that will be coming down the line. Any more questions?
Press ahead, sir.
Okay, well, kind of wrapping it up here. So, again, with the 2 stories, we do have quite a bit of homeowner options to enhance windows, meaning that a homeowner can ask for the window to be installed. But based on light ventilation as well as egressing out of a sleeping bedroom, every bedroom has a window that meets that requirement. But if they want additional windows or they don't want additional windows, it's their choice. Again, giving the homeowner the choice. Going through the exterior elevations.
That's fine. One thing I want to point out that would be re-referencing our 360 articulation. Those optional windows would be nice to have if it reflects the design that looks like a craftsman style, shutters or some external detail to the window itself and not just a flat face window. Some articulation around the window, like shutters or something.
Right.
So if the consumer says, I want those windows, that
A shutter would accompany with
something to
Gotcha.
that effect would
Okay.
be something that we would have an expectation of.
Sure. Well, thank you for
Shutters,
clarifying
accent
that.
foam, something that breaks it up from being a flat window.
And then for Spanish style, I'd like to see some awnings.
Awnings with clarification on that. Being with outlookers, shed, or like a Bahama window? Bahama shutter. A Bahama shutter is traditionally found on Augustine architecture. They're kind of metal louvers.
I was talking about awnings.
Okay.
But
So
the
it's like an
shutters-
eyebrow extension awning.
More, yeah, something that is,
That's an out, that's a, remember you asked the last applicant, a kicker, an outlooker? That's what that is. It's a knee brace with an outlooker. I understand what you're looking for.
okay, outlooker is what
Yeah,
I'm talking
okay, I understand. Okay. And that could be something we can enhance on corner lots as an enhancement or a projection to help break up a flat wall? Is that what we're looking for?
Or articulation.
Articulation for 360, right?
Correct.
Perfect, okay. Good. We're on the same page. Again, this is real quick. We just kind of came in here, but I think I'm hearing what you want, but you're clarifying it's even better.
Glad we can help.
So there will be an exhibit, very similar to the last applicant, that we typically will put on our cover sheet of our working drawings, lot number, enhancement, a left or a right, and then the builder and vendors would go to the drawings, and they would say, add the outlooker, add the bay window, add those elements, and they would be dashed, but they would be not a buyer's option, as I try to tell my staff, it's not an option. It's an element that has to be put there. So those will be noted on our working drawings as well as the exhibits at enhanced lots. So,
Okay.
other than that, I think basically the styles repeat. Very good information I'm collecting from you, so I know what I need to do. Let's see here. So example would be this elevation. This is Spanish. This is a front to back. However, there, you kind of see in the lower, there are 3 clay tiles. I would go to this elevation and not do 3, but I'd do 5 because the scale is
Okay.
bigger. So I would repeat that element on the side, but in bigger scale. This one here, there is siding in the front. I would introduce siding here and siding here for the 360. Okay. And so on and so on. Okay. Any more, Tom? No, I think I've
No, I think we're good. Like I said, thank you for the opportunity to come in here and at least let us get our thoughts to you guys to help the process run a little bit smoother. I think that's everyone's goal. We're excited to be offering 2 different, single-story and 2-story products to kind of cater to the first-time home buyer, give them more options, especially in this area of Lancaster. So we're excited and hope you guys are too. So thank you.
You're very welcome, and hopefully this was beneficial to you. I know it's been beneficial for me to be able to to hear the conversation going and getting everybody else's perspective. Because when I go to do to evaluate a project coming in, being relatively new to this board myself, I only have the guide to go by. But it's good to hear your perspective on things in a setting that's far less rigorous. To see what your train of thought is, and then to try to project that into the neighborhood where the project is going, and being able to compare that to other projects you've done before. But it's thank you again for putting this together. I truly appreciate it.
I just have one comment that came from staff comments was the idea of the Hollywood driveway. Some kind of turf.
Oh, the circular driveway?
No, I guess the Hollywood driveway being strips.
The strips.
Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Once again, we've tried that before. It is an absolute disaster when it comes to maintenance. It ends up dying. People don't take care of it.
Can't play basketball.
Can't play basketball on it?
Staff brought it up as it is part of the design guidelines. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts and opinions on this. We are blending into a new community, or excuse me, an existing community. I would propose we don't add that. I think we can do a very nice streetscape by, like we kind of talked about, by offsetting some of the house, staggering the houses, really doing a nice streetscape via vegetation, a combination of street trees, flowering trees, shrubs in the front yard. My request for you would be lenient on the Hollywood driveway if we go ahead and add all these other alternatives.
If we could hear from, we're going to break the paradigm again. If we could hear from staff on your thoughts on that comment that went into that report.
Sure, that's a comment based on the design guidelines. So staff does very similarly what you do, where we go through the plans, look at code, look at the design guidelines, and the comment stems from the guidelines. Having said that, there has been flexibility in projects when implementing that particular guideline, simply because we are in the desert. That's not always a practical design, and so we have heard that feedback ourselves. And the idea was that we can bring it up for discussion, for commission discussion, to see if there is a willingness to have some flexibility on that item.
Me, myself, personally, I am more than willing to be flexible on that because that's less to water. Being on the water board, that's a very good thing. So the more concrete, the less water, I'm all for it.
Sounds good.
Well, I have the opposite opinion because I think the more concrete, the less impervious area. And I think that was part of the issue, is that the water doesn't seep back into the ground with all the concrete that we have in the city, and the heat index as well. But I also think that that if we were to allow you the third car garage, maybe it's a possibility something like that would work for that. Those Hollywood driveways were when you had a garage in the back and that kind of thing. So I'm flexible. What do you think?
Yeah, and also the RV, for example, the RV drive, like you mentioned that earlier, where you have the spacing option. That would be an opportunity for the Hollywood driveway, just based on that. And we've seen that in other developments where even people do that post because it's less concrete.
I think what we've done in the past in other communities with the RV is provide some kind of vegetative buffer on the side, so there still is that greenscape there. It just helps to enhance the street's aesthetics.
Yeah, this is just a difference. But I wanted to say that my comment really stems from the fact that all the front yards are xeriscape, so there's not a whole lot of watering anyway. So less runoff.
You mean all your landscape plans will be all xeriscape? There won't be any grass provided. I don't know what the landscape plans require right now.
Yeah, we would follow the city standards.
I do believe that there's an ordinance now that said that new development is xeriscaped.
Right, it does require xeriscape.
Yeah, no, it's not xeriscape.
We don't have landscape plans, just to circle back on that, we don't have them yet. So
the conceptuals are in the packet.
They're in the back of the packet.
In the back of the packet, we provided conceptual landscape plans.
L4?
Yeah, it's
typical front yard concept.
Yeah.
forgive me, I misspoke. Apparently they are here.
this, and there's 245 pages somewhere in there.
Which one is it?
It's in the very back, sheet L4.
Oh,
The larger packet.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
I keep picking up. So it looks like tree.
Yeah, so we have a variety of trees, shrubs, flowering trees, and some grass.
I don't think we have it, do we?
It's in the 11 by 17.
It's the small one.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was all balanced.
No, it is.
No, but they have the size.
Oh, they broke it.
Yeah. They have size.
So it's a little. It's some
Yes,
grass in
that's
the
it.
front. Or is that side yard? Lots of trees.
I'm sorry, L?
L4.
It will say Howard on the bottom right.
Yeah.
Ground cover with clustered plants, mulch the gate, street tree.
Okay, so what I'm seeing, it seems more, there's going to be more, looking even at L5, you're on L4, but I'm looking at L5 too, both of them, actually.
So L5 is our model conceptual landscape plans. I wanted to get staff's comments on that as hopefully once this gets approved, we're going to dive right into construction documents, and I wanted their approval. Or just give them an idea of kind of what we're thinking from a model landscape standpoint.
So yeah, understood. Yeah, these are conceptual.
Conceptuals, right, correct.
You still have to work with staff
Yep.
on the details. I like the direction you're going, and I think, like you said, from the previous applicant, you picked up on a lot of things that we were looking for. So, like again, I say, hopefully, we were helpful to you
It was.
in your presentation as well.
Yeah.
Is there any more questions, comments?
I just have one more to just clarify. Back to the porches, the requirement and guidelines of the porches, 6 feet usable. Again, on a narrow product, my canvas is smaller. I can achieve porches, but what it's going to do, it's going to basically take my house and it's going to create every house almost the same. So I'd like to ask if I can have 2/3 of them to be porches, to give a variety, versus just going all porches, because I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to engage the pedestrian. I understand that, and I hear that from a lot of cities. But again, as an architect, when I start to throw more stuff on an elevation to 360, I understand it, I can do that, but now I'm going from one extreme of nothing to the extreme of everything's the same. So I like 31 flavors. I like to be in the Neapolitan ice cream, not the all chocolate or all vanilla. So I'd like to give variety. So I'd like to see if there might be consideration on that. But if the commission is 100%, then so be it. I'll go that direction.
We can certainly take that point under advisement and have some discussions on it and probably give a recommendation to staff.
Okay, thank you.
What do the current houses, those houses that are already built in that location, do they have porches?
Predominant, it's a
Yeah.
combination, probably 2/3 of them, just by looking at the amount the photograph that I have here, that it's in the front of the video, that is not part of your booklet because it came in at the last minute. And again, some have covered porches and some have porches all the way across, but again, the canvas is larger on this product width versus, I call this a garage, a function, be it a bedroom, and an entry door. So my canvas is very minimal to work with, but I can do it, but then it just throws me back into the extreme of everything's the same, and I like to show variety. So having a predominant porches versus 100% porches.
Well, I have a question, and that is who the product is for. You kind of said it was for new home buyers and starter homes kind of thing, and that usually comes with young families. And when you have young families, you need a place to sit outside and watch your kids play, riding their bicycles up and down the street or playing. And I know that the front yards don't really lead toward playing in the front yard, but it's going to be reality when you have little kids. They're going to be out on the street.
So to that point, these backyards are very large, are fairly large, where what we're finding is people would rather have a larger backyard than a larger front yard. If we put the porches on all the houses, it's going to drive everything back, because I still have to maintain those setbacks. And then when I take into consideration the staggering of the floor plans, a 30-foot deep backyard, which is pretty deep, you can do a lot in there, now maybe gets shrunk down to 12. So that's just something to consider on the porch argument.
Right.
Just keep that in mind.
Commissioners, I would like to shed a little bit of light on the municipal code and specific language in the municipal code. And with respect to porches, it does have a minimum requirement of 6 by 12. However, the code also allows flexibility, and I'll quote, "To the satisfaction of the planning director, an alternative frontage feature may be proposed in lieu of a porch if it achieves the same design, intent, and variation." So there is an opportunity for an in lieu option that does allow the commission to grant such flexibility. However, the applicant must show that it does provide the intent and the variation. So I wanted to make sure that you had that.
Thank you. And what's the
Thank you.
section number?
So what we're saying is some different sort of seating area out there? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm just looking for more crayons in my box, so when I go back, I start working, instead of just 2 colors, I have a few more to
So are you thinking
No, I
possibly?
agree. I totally agree with that.
Instead of porches, you would put like courtyards so people can sit outside?
That would be something I'd have to discuss with landscape architect and see if courtyard walls can encroach into front yard setbacks and other things I have to look at.
I would think the planning department could answer that question.
Right, so I'm going to have to work backwards
Right.
through that.
Because in order to get rid of them, you have to provide us an alternative frontage feature.
Correct,
So-
and that's why I'm saying, I'm not going to say, here's a blank wall. I understand that you're looking for something, but having more colors in my crayon box gives me a variety to go back and be creative. And that is a good feature. A courtyard, it could be one, as well as a bistro table situation or a wrap porch, or there's many things to pick from versus a porch.
So to not belabor the point, I think we've satisfied what it was that the intent, which was to say, yes, you do have an alternative by code. What that will be, we'll see when the plans come out.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like the number that she was asking, where you referenced that exactly, I'm sorry.
Sure. No, that's section 1708060B.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions?
That's all I have.
Thank you for
I
your
think
time.
we are good. Thank you for your presentation. We're
Appreciate
much
seeing you
appreciated.
guys next month.
Absolutely. We look forward to it.
What would that date be? First Thursday?
October 4th.
October 4th. Okay, thank you. And thank you, staff.
So we're going to move on to the next item, which is public business from the floor, non-agendized items. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the commission on any subject regarding city business. Under state legislation, no action can be taken on non-agenda items. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the commission regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda. Please complete a speaker card for the recording secretary. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
On that note, I think we will move on to the last item, which is adjournment. We will stand adjourned to the regular meeting on Thursday, October 4th, 2018 at 5 p.m. in the Lancaster City Hall Council Chambers. Thank you all and have a great night.